He was one of the most feared men who ever stepped foot on his court. He attacked and assaulted star players to help his team, and his name was Bill Laimbeer. Bill Laimbeer started off his career with the Cleveland Cavaliers, but after a couple of seasons there, he joined the Detroit Pistons, where he would play the next 11 years to finish out his career. While his teammates like Isaiah Thomas and Joe Dumars became notorious for their star play, Laimbeer did the dirty work, finding a way to make any and every player that stepped on the court fear him, and for the right reason, as he made them pay. He would be named to 4 All-Star teams and win 2 championships, but before the Pistons could get there, they had to submit to the reign of Larry Bird in the Eastern Conference, and that is who we will be talking about today. Now, Larry Bird is one of the greatest players of all time, and he had a famous run-in with Laimbeer in the 1987 Eastern Conference Finals, where he was brutally assaulted and brought to the ground by the Pistons' big man in the 3rd game. After Larry Bird was double-teamed, he passed it back out to his teammate, who drove and dumped it back to Bird, who was able to fake out a young Dennis Rodman and then attempt to go up. But who else was there other than Bill Laimbeer, who fouled him? But this was not just any foul, as he proceeded to body slam him to the ground, much to the dismay of the Celtics players and fans. So, to no one's surprise, a fight ensued, but it was able to be neutralized quite easily for the fact that it was after a body slam. After the dust had settled, not only was Laimbeer ejected, but Bird was as well, to some people's surprise. Even though Bird was ejected, one thing was certain, and that was that Bird would get his revenge one way or another. Would you like a chance to see some of your favorite stars play? Well, if you want to win free NBA tickets, we're giving you the chance to see stars like Stephen Curry, LeBron James, or Victor Wembanyama live in person. Click the link in the description to enter now. Don't miss out on this exclusive offer. It's free to enter, and it only takes a moment. Now, back to the video. In the game where Larry Bird was able to get his revenge on Laimbeer and the Dirty Pistons team. After losing games 4 and 6 while winning game 5, the series went to 7 games, and it was also going back to Boston, a very hostile place for any team not named the Boston Celtics. He was able to start off the game by dumping the ball down to Robert Parrish, who slammed it down with authority. Plays later, Bird was able to hit a tough jumper to get himself on the scoring charts. He made a turnaround jump shot, and the Celtics were looking strong. Then he was able to come off of the screen to hit a jumper, even though he was very tightly guarded, and the Larry Bird train was in full effect. Then he started to really show off, and he was really punishing the Pistons, who desperately wanted to get to the finals. He grabbed the ball from mid-range and turned around and made a very tough shot look all too easy. With that shot, the Celtics and the Pistons were all tied up, and you could feel that it was going to be a tough game, with 2 behemoths butting heads the entire 48 minutes. Then, Larry Bird was able to clean up his teammates' mess. Bird was able to grab a rebound off of a Dennis Johnson miss and use his strength to rise up and finish to score through the foul and get an and one. Then, he was able to get to work down in the paint and take a very off-balance shot to get yet another shot to go in. But then Bird was taken down again, and the Pistons continued to uphold their view as one of the dirtiest NBA teams out there when Bird made an attempt to drive. He was met with many Pistons, but when he took a leap to try to finish, he was body-checked to the ground, and while a foul was called, he had to shrug off the pain and continue playing. He was able to get his revenge in another way, as he was able to knock down a routine three-pointer from the corner on the next possession. Then, Bird was able to get working on the other side of the court and shake up the Pistons a little bit whenever his tough defense was enough to force a travel. The call forced a technical foul, and Larry Bird was able to get a free technical foul shot, which he knocked down. At this point, the Celtics were rolling, and at the start of the second half, Bird was able to come up and receive the ball to hit yet another one of his mid-range shots to put the Celtics up by 1 single point, 71-70. Another thing that was spectacular about Larry Bird in this game was that he was not benched at any point in the game, but it did not seem like he was fatigued. In fact, it seemed like he had more in the tank and more energy than anyone else out on the court, as you could tell when he was able to sink a shot by getting it high up on the backboard. Then a few plays later, Bird was able to receive the ball and put an impressive shot to grow the Boston lead. With the game tied and just about 5 minutes left, the Celtics needed a little bit more of a push in order to secure the lead and the game. So who else did they turn to but Larry Bird, who was able to get another one of his reliable mid-range shots to fall in, and the Celtics kept on rolling. A minute later, Larry Bird was able to receive the ball from the mid-range area once again, but instead of taking the jump shot, he drove it, and hit a tough shot with the help of the glass. Days later, Larry Bird was able to get some hustle points for himself. His teammate missed a three-pointer. He hustled and was able to grab the offensive rebound. Then, all tied up in the corner, Bird was able to kick it out to his teammate on the wing, who passed it around the horn, but then the ball was passed back around to Bird, who shot a three, and while he missed, the Celtics were able to get the offensive rebound again, given back to Bird, who shot a long two-pointer, but even that missed. However, the Celtics were able to get a third chance when they snagged the offensive rebound yet again. Then after Robert Parrish got denied with his putback, Bird grabbed it, and after faking out his defenders, he was able to kick it out to Danny Ainge, who was able to knock down a three, break the tie, and take a massive chunk out of the time, with the Boston fans going absolutely nuts, and the Pistons missing Adrian Dantley due to an injury he came down with earlier. You could tell that the Detroit team was rattled as they went into a timeout to try to compose themselves. Out of the timeout, Bird had the ball once again, and who was on him other than the dirty big man, Bill Laimbeer? With the obvious speed mismatch, Bird knew that he had to keep him off guard, but after dribbling around for a little bit, he decided to go back to his bread and butter, as he knocked down another mid-range over Laimbeer, who was not able to get high enough to block Bird's shot. This also marked his 37th point of the game, and he was rolling through anyone in his way, and the Pistons needed an answer before the clock ran out. In a very clutch moment at the free throw line, Pistons point guard and all-star Isaiah Thomas was sent to the line, but he was only able to hit the first before missing the second as the ball came over to Larry Bird for the rebound. While the Celtics were keeping their lead, it was slim, and they needed another bucket to give them at least a little bit of breathing room, so they gave the ball to Bird. With Bird backing down as defender, all eyes were on him, and once he got close enough to the basket, pretty much the entire Pistons defense converged on him, which meant that there was someone surely open. And that man was Dennis Johnson, who was able to get a pass from Bird and knock down a mid-range jumper with no one even near him. And with about 80 seconds left, the Celtics were up 106-103. Joe Dumars was able to get a driving bucket to go in, but it was only enough to bring their deficit to 1, and they needed more. However, Danny Ainge was able to knock down a jumper on the other end of the floor, and the Celtics looked like they just might edge out the Pistons after all. Two teams took turns shooting free throws and hoping that the other missed. The game looked like it was over after the Pistons went down 6 with just 4 seconds left. And although they were able to knock down a triple as the clock went down to 0, in the end it was too little too late, and the Bird-led Celtics were able to barely fend off the ferocious and nasty Pistons in a wild series. As said earlier, Larry Bird was given no rest and was playing for 48 minutes straight, but he was out there because he was absolutely balling, and because there was just nobody out there who could even get close to stopping him. He was almost able to secure a triple-double with a stat line of 37 points, 9 assists, and 9 rebounds, but it did not matter because he had secured something even more important, an Eastern Conference Series win and an NBA Finals berth up against one of the toughest and most hard-nosed teams in NBA history. Bill Laimbeer, on the other hand, was able to do what he does best, getting 13 boards while scoring 9 with high efficiency. He was also able to send back 2 shots and pick up 5 fouls in the process, to nobody's surprise. Joe Dumars was able to lead the Pistons in scoring in this game with 35 points, going an impressive 15 of 21 from the field. But unfortunately for him and the rest of his team, he was up against the king of the Eastern Conference. But once the Celtics had gotten through the Pistons, an even tougher team awaited. The Los Angeles Lakers, who had formed a long-lasting rivalry with the Celtics, and the two teams both knew that it was going to be one heck of a series. The two teams had already played in the 1980s twice, with the Boston Celtics winning in 1984 and the Los Angeles Lakers getting their revenge in 1985. But the 1987 series meant that one team would come out with the lead for the decade. The two teams fought hard, but the Lakers were able to come out to a 3-1 series lead, which meant that there was a very small chance that the Celtics were going to be able to come back. Even though the Celtics were able to win Game 5, they fell in Game 6, and the Lakers had gotten the best of them, with Magic Johnson leading the charge while winning Finals MVP with a spread of 26.2 points, 8 rebounds, and a whopping 13 assists per game. Though the Pistons lost this series, they were still growing, and they were eventually able to win both the 1989 and 1990 NBA Finals. But no one should forget about the Larry Bird-led Celtics team that drove them to be better. Alright, that's it for this one. Thanks for watching. Let us know what you thought down below in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the episode if you enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next one.